Sharp-nosed sharks have been very cooperative in terms of overall abundance. I've gotten plenty of length frequency.
We originally started planning for the lab back in 1999. It literally took 10 years to construct it. I think we opened in 2009. Marine Fisheries Division of Wildlife and Fisheries always had a presence on Grand Isle. I mean, it's great access to the Gulf of Mexico. We were on, since the early 50s, on Grand Terre, just to the west of us. All those years, the department focused primarily on state inshore, nearshore beach areas, the shrimp, spotted sea trout, oyster, crab fisheries. In 2005, when Governor Jindal and Secretary Robert Barham took over the department, they really cut us loose to be a player in the federal waters, which was really important in the direction we wanted to go in fisheries. We got some federal programs in and started working more and more closely with the Gulf Council, the Science Center out at St. Pete, but also the HMS team up in Washington, Virginia. That's the highly migratories. The facility is the key for us to play a factor and steer in the Gulf of Mexico fisheries as we move forward.
Through the Office of Fisheries, we have assembled one of the finest staffs on the Gulf Coast. Our goal is monitoring. We have to monitor the offshore fisheries. That's the task we were given.
To gather a comprehensive data set of the species in the Gulf of Mexico, we have 4 projects that we do with CMAP. We have a shrimp and groundfish trawl survey where we sample the bottom fish and the shrimp along our coast. We also use a vertical line survey where we sample artificial reefs with commercial bandit gear. In order to sample the bottom feeding fish population, we deploy a 1-mile-long bottom long line. And we also have a plankton survey where we look at the eggs and the larval populations at certain times throughout the year because it gives us future recruitment and stock assessments. The beauty between these projects is that every state, including the feds, all do a standardized protocol, so everyone is sampling exactly the same.
It's important that we standardize our sampling to match our other managing departments within the Gulf, which is the feds, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, and Texas. Without standardization, you just don't have anything.
We have to be the voice for Louisiana because you can't regulate one state by using another state's data because the fisheries are not the same from state to state. Our data is important to let the feds know what's going on in Louisiana as opposed to Texas or Florida or Mississippi.
The perfect idea is to harvest as many fish as possible, shrimp, oysters, whatever, without affecting the next year's recruitment. That is the goal. That's what every fisherman should want.
So why do we take samples? Why do we take samples of adult fish? Why do we take samples from the other end of the extreme? Chlorophyll and plankton. Well, chlorophyll is very important to the entire fishery complex. It's the start of life. In a phytoplankton, eaten by zooplankton, eaten by the smaller fish and the crustaceans, works its way all the way up to the pelagics. It's all part of the complex, all part of the food web. We have to look at all components from the tiniest plankton and chlorophyll studies all the way up to the largest fish we sample and the highly migratory species, sharks, tunas, billfish. Everything in between we have to look at.
So here at the lab, we take ovaries from commercially and recreationally important species of fish that we collect in the field through a variety of sampling methodologies, and we examine them in the laboratory to obtain several pieces of important information that are used both in fisheries management, fisheries stock assessments, and the ultimate goal of that is to ensure that there are fish for future generations. So by comparing the age of a fish by counting the number of rings in their otoliths, also called or known as ear bones, you can compare that to these cross sections of ovaries that we're taking, and if you find mature eggs, you can look at the age of the fish and you can tell at what age does a fish become sexually mature and able to contribute to the population.
We're just trying to keep and maintain a picture of the diversity of what we're finding out there and the numbers, the abundance and the distribution of, and certain times of the year when we're seeing certain fish as opposed to others. And that's why our data is so important, and that's so that the feds can get a better picture what kind of regulations may or may not need to be changed depending on the condition of the fishery.
So the better our stock assessments, the more accurate our data is, then the more fish our recreational and commercial communities can catch.
We're collecting a lot of data points, more than anybody else can. This is a solid data set. And it's important because then that means everybody gets to take home what they want. Next year when it comes around, there'll be just as many, if not more fish. And you know what? We might even be able to harvest more. That's what every fisherman should want. And that's what I want. That's why I do this job. That's what we do down here.
In addition to our offshore monitoring projects, we have an entire array of other things we do. We're doing a green stick study looking at bycatch in the tuna industry. We're doing a red drum age and spawning potential project and looking at the adult stock of red drum.
On our bottom longline survey, we participate with National Marine Fisheries in their shark tagging program. So all the sharks that we bring on board, we do our best to tag them and release them alive very quickly and in very good health.
Louisiana has one of the finest programs on speckled trout and redfish tagging. One of our staff actually makes on-site tagging kits used in trout red drum tagging. We're proud of what we do. Everybody chips in.
We got our fingers in everything now, and I think we're doing some fabulous work, but without that facility, it doesn't happen.
Our lab's centrally located in Grand Isle. Our doors are open to the public. We welcome people here. We want to explain to them what we do and why we do it and how it's going to help them. On Grand Isle, come visit us. We're here for you.